why don't you share with us what are some of those wins that you've had recently?
Okay, so I've got 12 funded accounts now, totaling about $325,000. Had 3 payouts so far in the last week. Yeah, so I'm
So
like I'm really making money with trading, which is pretty cool.
we want to give people something real here. You didn't just come in and it was amazing and then you click one button and you made all the money. We know it wasn't like that. I know at one point you were struggling, right? Your
Yes.
accounts were at a really low point. So
Yeah,
why don't
last
you
month
walk us
I
through that?
almost lost all of them. I was like within $60 of losing them.
What are some of those shifts that you've had to make or that have happened for you to get to this point? Kyle, welcome. Good to have you here. Today I wanted to bring you on because you are the man of the moment. Right now in the community, we've all been seeing your success, your progress. So I wanted to share some of those wins, talk to you a little bit more about what's been working well, what are the things that you've had to learn, and give some value here to the audience who perhaps are trying to get into trading or become profitable if they're already trading. So why don't we start there? Why don't you share with us what are some of those wins that you've had recently?
Yeah, this month has been great for me. Well, I just passed another evaluation yesterday, so I've got 12 funded accounts now. And it's totaling about $325,000. Had 3 payouts so far in the last week.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm
So
like I'm really making money with trading, which is pretty cool.
amazing. So 325K in funding through Profirms, 12 accounts, 3 payouts. So you've been moving quickly in this past month. It seems like everything just took off. We'll definitely dive a little bit more into that. Yeah, and I figure I'll share the screen here with the audience and show you the progress that you've made this month. So they have a visual reference. We have Trader View. By the way, we track the performance of every client. And this is Kyle. You've only had 2 losing days in March, which is insane. Huge winning streak. And so let's talk about this. So how has been your journey? Where were you before joining the program? And
Mhm.
what was this process been like?
Yeah, well, I mean, the process has been amazing. A challenge, but amazing. Well, immediately before the program, I was working a corporate job, 9 to 5. I had been aware of you, so I was kind of like saving up my money to join the program. I did have some trading experience, but never like I was not trained. It was like self-taught, and it was mostly day trading penny stocks.
What kind of results did you have prior to joining the program with that?
I would say I kind of came out just like even, maybe like up a couple $1,000 I made out of it or something like that. Yeah, trading was always in the back of my mind. And well, I think I told you I actually found you before you were offering this program. I found you on
Mm,
Instagram because we were like traveling in a similar way. So I feel like, yeah, you were on my radar, and then I saw you started to promote your services, and I was like, wow,
what
like
made
I
you
feel
want
like
to say, let's go, let's try this? Because it's something a little bit different, right? It's like futures trading as opposed to penny stocks, which is what you had done before.
to be honest, I didn't think about that aspect too much. Like,
Mm,
and I still don't. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I don't even really understand future still. But that's kind of one of the things I love about it is like you don't need to know like all these little finance things. Like you
that's a
just
great
need to
point that
know.
you're making
Yeah.
because a lot of people that are getting into it or are transitioning from options or forex and like, but I've never heard about futures. I don't know how futures work. I'm like, you don't really need to know a lot of those details to make money. We're gonna talk about like, here's how you make money. You can let everybody else get stuck in the weeds about, how the ins and outs of the futures market, but you don't really need to know all that stuff. Got it. So
Nope.
you got into futures, you joined the program. It's a little bit different than what you've been doing. Now you're a funded trader. Now you have 12 funded accounts, 325K in funding. You're getting payouts, but you didn't start there. How's that process been? Walk us through that. Give us some details.
Well, I remember when I first joined and you were talking about the funded accounts, it sounded like kind of weird to me, and I was I think I was a little stubborn and tried trading my own money in the beginning, and it did not go so well. And then you kind of encouraged me to do the funded thing. It was kind of immediately a game changer
In what way?
for a few reasons. I feel like on my mind in a weird psychological way that it was like easier to trade because that like wasn't my money. I don't know. But also I would say it kind of just allowed me to like get more repetitions in without much risk. Like if I was starting it today, I would just jump right into funded.
Absolutely. I think you make a good point, and is also why I like to start people who some people just really want to trade their capital, and that's okay.
Hmm.
But when you look at a evaluation for a prop firm, it's so cheap, so affordable, and
Hmm.
you still have consequences, but you have very low downside. And so
Hmm.
for me, it's like if you're gonna learn lessons, which you're gonna have to learn lessons because you're new, you will make a lot of mistakes. I'd rather you make a mistake on a prop account where you have very little to lose than to risk five, $10,000. Because we know you're gonna make mistakes,
100%.
right? So to
Yep.
me, I usually like to start people there for that reason, because the goal is just to not to expose you until you're ready. And so you start with the prop accounts, you transition after you had a taste of trading your own capital. And how did things go from there?
Well, it was still, I mean, a challenge. And well, one thing I love about the prop accounts, the evaluations, is it kind of teaches you some forms of trading discipline. Like they have some rules, which I think maybe some people find them kind of annoying at first, but you realize why they're there. And yeah, it teaches you, size management and risk. Yeah, because you can like only lose so much on the account before you lose it. Whereas like, if you have your own account, there's no one like controlling that but yourself. So you can just keep going until you just lose everything.
Yeah, so I think it's almost like it's good
Um,
that they have all these rules because really, if you're trading your own capital, you should have similar rules, right?
right.
Especially because
Yeah.
it's your own money. And I think what's happening is that sometimes we don't want the accountability of having to have rules, but not having that is probably what's causing a lot of issues for most people in the trading space.
And now I feel like if I ever did go back to my own account, I would know what to do to handle it well.
Absolutely.
So,
So I know it's been quite the journey. What would you say has been some of the shifts that you had to make to be able to have the results that you have right now? Because I know probably
mm,
there's people watching right now. It's like, hey, maybe I'm looking to get into trading, or maybe they're already trading. A lot of that are watching are probably already trading futures and doing prop firms, and perhaps they're not passing, or they're
mm,
passing but blowing the account, or they're just not getting to the point where they get a payout. So maybe they're
mm.
stuck in that limbo, right? Where you're like back and forth, but not really moving forward. What are some of those shifts that you've had to make or that have happened for you to get to this point?
Totally. I mean, yeah, it took me a little while to get there, but yeah, I mean, I would say step one is understanding the technicals. Yeah, just like really spending time in the market and recognizing the patterns and the little, nuances of how it moves and stuff. And then arguably equally as important, what I realized is like your mental, like your
Mm.
psychology. It's huge. I have to admit, I mean, a big moment for me was a few weeks ago. Actually, you recommended to me to try some plant medicine, try a plant medicine ceremony. It just completely not only like unlocked like a part of my mind I feel like was being like hidden, but it helped
Mm.
me to put things in perspective and kind of change the way I approached sitting down in front of the computer every day and trading.
So what was some of the things that you feel were holding you back? And then we'll talk a little bit more about like what the plant medicine did for you. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious to hear what was the challenge you were having.
I was definitely over trading, especially like if I took a loss, I would just go nuts on them and, just take a million
Mm.
trades after that, trying to make up for it or something and end up with a really big red day. And just all around maybe trying to like force things. A factor that, I was unhappy at the job I was at. I was using trading as an escape kind of, but also just like I really wanted to get out of there and be like free again. Before that job I was traveling full time. So it was like I was like a
Mm.
caged animal. But the plant medicine, it not only actually helped my trading, but it helped me relax at work and just kind of be okay with where I
Mm.
was at.
Some of the
Good.
challenges it sounds like they were facing is what a lot of people face in trading, which is it's really hard to accept a loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to accept that there's a process that sometimes we need
Mm-hmm.
to walk away and come back tomorrow, right? So it feels like there's all these timelines, expectations in our mind, which are really just a construct of the 3D, right? It's not even real. Some of the hardest ones to let go of is the attachment to the outcome, right? It's like we all understand at
Mm-hmm.
an intellectual level, it's a game of probabilities. You cannot control the outcome of a
Mm-hmm.
trade. You're never gonna know if it's gonna win or lose. But another thing is internalizing it as the truth. Because I could say, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
get that. But then I lose a trade and that completely wrecks my day. That's
Totally.
attachment. What the market is really trying to teach us is the art of detachment, of being able
Mm-hmm.
to show up, follow up process, do what we need to do, completely detaching from the outcome, which we cannot control. And by the way, I don't tell everybody here to go and do plant medicine or try ayahuasca or a ceremony or anything like this, but some people are receptive. You are one
Mm-hmm.
of those people. So I was like, hey, you may want to look into something like this. Because for my personal journey, that has been completely transformational. Not just for my trading, for my entire life. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's Hilbert before plant medicine and there's Hilbert after. And I don't think there's a coincidence that my life 10x.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is realizing that the outcome we're so attached to and all the things that we worry about are really insignificant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really hard when you're really stuck in the 3D reality of if I lose this trade, it's the end, or I'm never gonna
Mm-hmm.
make it. only to realize it doesn't actually matter. And
Mm-hmm.
so that even help you do better at your work because now you accepted it as part of the process. You weren't using trading as a way to have fun, essentially, or to escape work, and
Mm-hmm.
which improve your performance. So how did that change your trading after those realizations?
Couple ways I can think of for sure. Well, one, I was definitely more patient, waiting for a 10 out of 10 setup rather than like jumping the gun and then losing that and then that spiraling me. I would just be patient and wait. And weirdly, I don't know how to explain it, but I also just felt like super in tune with the market. Like I felt like I could, I
Mm.
don't know. I felt like I was seeing confluences and like connections with like price and levels like
Mm.
in ways that I hadn't seen before.
Wow.
That was cool.
So you were able to flow with the market a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what's interesting? I was actually thinking about this today. You know how in the 3D, we're like, okay, we can't know for sure what's going to happen next. However, I do believe that, all the patterns are created by the collective consciousness, right? All the people that make up the market. And I do believe once you start getting in tune with your intuition, maybe through plant medicine, through meditation, through different practices, I do
Hmm.
believe, and you've experienced this, and I've experienced this, you can get to a point where you know what's going to happen next. You don't even know why, but you can feel it. And it goes beyond logic. And so I do think it's a thing. It's kind of like a part that we have to unlock to be able to tap into that. And to me, it's become about how we can get to that space more often. So that's
Hmm.
why we do all the practices of meditation, of being present, of doing ceremonies like this, so that we can be aligned and get
Totally.
to a space of flow with the market. We want to give people something real here. You didn't just come in and it was amazing, and then you click one button and you made all the money. We know it wasn't like that. I know at one point you were struggling, right? Your
Yes.
accounts were at a really low point. So
Yeah.
why don't
Last
you
month
walk us
I
through that?
almost lost all of them. I actually lost
Mm.
seven funded accounts last month. And then almost the others too. I was like within $60 of losing them.
For context, for those watching, how many
Hmm.
accounts do you have at the time?
I had 17.
17 accounts that he passed, 17 evaluations,
Hmm.
but he started to go into a bit of a losing streak, a bit of a rut, to the point where he was $60 away from losing all of them. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. So you were close to losing all the accounts. And then what happened?
Yes. Well, yeah, then I lost seven and I was down to 10. Then I passed another evaluation sometime on the way back up, I would say. Then I was at 11 and yesterday I passed another evaluation. But yeah, I would say the turning point was the plant medicine and also allowing myself to lose those funded accounts and just kind of realizing that it wasn't a big deal. I feel like there's like I'm personally experiencing a very similar theme with like, okay, like when I started it was with my own money and I was scared of losing it. And then so I lost it. And then I was scared of failing evaluations. So I failed them. And then once I was able to be like, oh, once I failed a bunch, I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. Then I started passing because I like wasn't trading in fear. Same thing when I got to the funded accounts. Then I was scared of losing them. And then so I started losing them. Then when I wasn't scared of that, I started, making money with them. And I'm
Mm.
actually now experiencing a very similar thing where now I'm getting payouts and I'm scared of losing the money I'm making. So
You're going through stages, right? And
yeah.
and
Hmm.
here's the reality is that this is not a you solve this and now you're an enlightened being who's never gonna feel fear or feel anxiety
Exactly.
anymore. That's just not reality.
The
Is a
lessons
work
will
in
never end.
progress.
Yep.
It never ends. And
Hmm.
so and the stakes get bigger. You're gonna have more accounts, you're gonna have bigger
Hmm.
days, bigger
Hmm.
profits. And there's always that in the background. But now you've gone past it before and you're starting to see the pattern. When we're
Hmm.
trading out of fear, we create that reality. When we're trying to avoid a mistake, we make a
Hmm.
mistake. And so
Yep.
that is the attachment that we're talking about, right? When we're so attached,
Hmm.
it's like when you're going, I don't know, you're dating a girl and you're so attached, I really want this to work out on this date. And it's like, you already messed it up because you're so
Totally.
attached to that outcome instead of
Hmm.
being present and letting things unfold as they need to unfold. Isn't that interesting? The moment you said, I'm okay. If I lose him, I lose him. That's when you took off.
Yep.
And sometimes it's going to happen for a lot of people. They pass an account, they're funded, and they lose it. And we can
Hmm.
choose to see it as I'm a failure. This is never going to work for me. I lost all the work that I've done so far. Or we can choose to see it as this is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I chose to see it because I just got to experience the one thing I was scared of. And like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
realize it's actually not that bad. I'm still alive. I'm still here. Like nothing really happened. And then it's that fear. Sometimes we just need to shine a light on it to realize
Totally.
it's not as bad as we think it is.
Totally.
In a way, it's like, I'm glad I went through that. So I don't have to live with that fear anymore. Now, at a different stage, you are going to find new fears. In the beginning, it's I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to understand this. Then it's I don't want to lose my own money. Then it's like, ooh, I don't want to lose this evaluation. Then you pass. I don't want to lose the PA. And then now you have the payouts like, I'm making money, but I don't want to lose that again. Ultimately, this becomes a game of understanding yourself. How is
Totally.
it that you make
Yeah.
decisions? What affects you? Now that you're on the other side, right? You've gone through the ups and downs, you've had the accounts, you've lost the accounts, you've done the penny stocks, futures. Now you're finally getting payouts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you say to someone who's maybe going through that phase? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're like trading, they're struggling, things are not working out. Is there something that you'll have said to yourself a little bit sooner if you knew?
Hmm. Just be patient with yourself. Be easy with yourself. I was about to say like try not to make it like stress over it, but like I feel like any trying is almost like it like backfires. So to me,
Mm,
it's very yeah, it's very similar to like life. Like you compared it to like dating women. Yeah, actually, I met my wife when I like was like, you know what, I don't even care if I meet a girl, like whatever, doesn't matter. And then boom, she came into my life like a couple weeks later.
mm,
So I think it's like the same as like anything in life. Like the more you try to force it, the worse it goes. So
mhm.
just relax and enjoy the ride, you know, let
And
it
I
take
think
the time it needs
that's
to take.
it's so interesting because I mean the lessons that we learn through the market are the same lessons that happen
Totally.
everywhere else. Partially, I think something that I see and something that I struggle with personally is timelines. I want this to happen really fast. It's like in 90 days, I need to be at this point, right? And we start creating these expectations in our head. And yeah, partially it's like you look online and everybody's making millions with trading, right? Or so they claim. And I think there's an illusion with trading that because there's a couple of clicks, that's all it is.
Totally.
Right. And so partially it's because it's relatively simple. Like you learn my strategy. It's like, it's not complicated. It's not rocket science.
It's dead simple.
It's
Yeah,
super
it's awesome.
simple, right? It's like people make it way more complicated than it needs to be, but there's still work that needs to be done.
Yes.
Part of that work is one, you definitely have to master the technicals because
Hmm.
the reality for some people is if you don't have a good strategy, it's never going to work.
That's
Doesn't
true.
matter how detached you are, doesn't matter how much you meditate, doesn't matter how much cold plunges you take, it's still not going to work. Like you don't
Yep.
have an edge.
Yep.
But once you have the edge, you have to master that edge. That's not going to happen in a week. It's
Hmm.
like anything. It's like if you're trying to learn how to snowboard and then you watch some videos on how to snowboard and does that make you a professional snowboarder? You haven't even been on the mountain yet. And so
Yep.
for some reason, people come into trading thinking, oh, I watched the videos. I'm supposed to be winning. Like you're just getting started. But you're going to master that. And then the other part that comes in is the market's going to reflect back at you exactly who you are.
Hmm.
If you're impatient with yourself, if when things don't go your way, you go into catastrophe, everything's going to crash and burn. If you have a hard time with money and detaching from it, all that's going to show up. So part of it is recognizing those. And I mean, you've been very receptive. Working with you was great because you're open to feedback. You actually
Hmm.
apply it and you just want to be better. I don't think it's a coincidence that the universe now set you up to be doing this full time. So
Right.
why don't you
Yep.
share with us, like, what are things going to look like for you in the future? Where are you at right now? Where do you think you want to be in the next 3 to 6 months?
Funny enough, a few weeks after the plant medicine, and when I started really like when trading really started clicking for me, I was let go from my job. Not any performance thing, you know, but a mass layoff kind of thing. And yeah, so I was set free, and now I guess I would consider myself a full-time trader. Full-time, even though it's just like an hour every morning. It's awesome. I'm trying to get back to traveling, basically, which is what I was doing before the job. And I think trading is the perfect solution for that, you know, becoming location and financially independent.
Beautiful. Yeah, he's got a band that he's working on, and that's essentially how we initially connected on social media. Because I used to do the same, right? I used to be
Hmm.
overlanding, traveling, you too. Then we connected over trading. Now you're getting to go back to that lifestyle, right? It's like
Hmm.
all the pieces have fallen into place to give you exactly what you need to live the life that you want to live. right?
Totally.
Sometimes it takes turns and twists that we were not expecting, but it all ends up in the end. Just to wrap this up, and I appreciate you sharing all this with us, and I'm sure the audience probably going to be thankful to hear a real story. Let's say somebody's watching this, maybe they talk to me, or maybe they're looking into the program and they're like, I'm just not sure, right? Because maybe they spend a lot of money on courses. It's very common. Or maybe they're about to get into trading and they don't know what to expect. What would you say to someone like that in that position now that you're on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, like before joining, my hesitation was like, well, it's just this guy on the internet. Like, should I really send him $5,000 to to learn this thing? Is it really going to work? But like, I just, I kind of had a feeling because I had been following you from before you were offering that service, so I kind of had a feeling you were a real person and not like a scammer or something like that. But now that I've gone through it, I mean, Helbert is just like as real as it gets, and yeah, he's walked the path, and he can't walk the path for you, but he shines the light so that it's a little brighter. It's easier to see where you're going. Trading has been awesome. One cool thing, like Hilbert, you brought your parents into trading, which is like mind blowing to me. It's so cool. There's such a diverse group of people in the program from all ages and backgrounds, and it just goes to show how simple the technique is, and how you don't need to be like amazing with computers or anything. I mean, if you've even thought about wanting to trade, like to me, it's a no-brainer.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, it's been great having you in the community. We do have a lot of people from all backgrounds. We have people in their 70s who is their first time placing a trade. We have people in their 20s. We have, like I said, my parents, my brother, cousins,
Hmm.
everybody's in there. And Cal, of course, is always in there in the community, helping other people. That just goes to show the more you give, the more you get.
Hmm.
And so I don't think it's a coincidence that you're where you are right now. So, well, brother, I appreciate you. It's been great having you. It's been great seeing your progress here. And so I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we're going to have another case study coming up once you're full time in the van, traveling, living life the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, our
And
next call will be out in nature.
you'll be in the forest somewhere. So we'll bring you guys back, Kyle, when that happens. Yeah, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.